This VAWatchdog.org news video is brought to you by Bergman & Moore, LLC. Former VA attorneys now fighting VA for you. Call Bergman & Moore at 877-838-2889 or on the web at vetlawyers.com.
When President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed the original GI Bill in 1944, millions of World War II veterans got the chance to receive a college education. The bill has been updated over the years, but for many veterans who fought in Iraq or Afghanistan, the education benefits have not kept pace. Right now, veterans can receive $1,100 a month, up to a total of $40,000, which covers only an average of 60% of the cost of 4 years at a public university. NewsHour special correspondent for education, John Merrow, took a look at that gap earlier this year. Here's part of that report.
Former Marine Kyle Williams served 2 tours in Iraq. After leaving the military, he enrolled at the University of California, but was shocked by the costs.
At UC Davis, it's going to cost me for the year about $25,000 between rent, books, tuition, and food and living costs.
Williams' GI benefits, about $10,000 for the school year, will cover less than half of that, so he'll have to go deeply into debt.
For my first year at UC Davis, I'm looking to apply for a private loan from about $12,000 to $15,000, hopefully to be approved for that, to cover my tuition up front, books, and extra living costs and rent.
Williams had hoped his education benefits would go much further.
The fact that you're not compensated for the type of school you want to go to, or the dreams that you may have, or the goals that you have, is one of the most frustrating things that not only does it hurt you, but it holds you back.
Veterans like Kyle Williams may now be helped by a new law signed only yesterday that will more than double GI Bill benefits, covering the cost of a full 4-year education at the most expensive public university in state. To qualify for the tuition, fees, and housing stipends, veterans must have served at least 3 years on active duty since 9/11. For more on all that, we turn to Eric Hillman, Deputy Director of National Legislative Services for the Veterans of Foreign Wars, a group that strongly backed the bill. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Gwen. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
And congratulations on getting the law enacted. So how did the GI Bill get so badly out of date over time?
You've got a number of factors at play. First and foremost, you have a rising cost of rising inflationary cost of education in the nation. The inflationary rate for education is approximately 5 to 7% annually, and the current GI Bill is fixed to the consumer price index, which is about 2 to 3% annually, so it becomes quickly outpaced. The last time there was a major overhaul of the GI Bill, it was a peacetime benefit in 1984. Architect Sonny Montgomery,
former congressman.
Yes, former congressman. That bill was founded in a peacetime era. It had the goals and the interests of the nation at heart for that time period. Well, the utilization of the force has changed somewhat since then. We've got a Guard and Reserve force that makes up about 40% of the force in Iraq and Afghanistan. These are truly citizen soldiers serving in the line of duty. If you take a look at the use of the force in the current structure, Guard and Reservists were never signed up 10 years ago to do...
So this applies to National Guard and Reservists as well?
This GI Bill covers the inequities and addresses the concerns with the current benefit across the board.
At what cost?
At what cost to the taxpayer?
Yeah.
Ah, good question. Taxpayers this year will be paying approximately $1 billion, not quite $1 billion, but that is going on the nation's credit card. It moved forward on the supplemental in the House and Senate in the previous month. It was passed out of the Senate on Thursday of last week. The GI Bill out-year costs will have to be budgeted for, and not to get...
In other words, nobody basically is paying for this right now. It's just being added to the deficit.
No, as part of the cost of war, it is on the nation's credit card, absolutely.
What did it take to get this enacted? This was not a slam dunk by any means when it was first introduced by Senator Jim Webb.
No, Senator Webb introduced this bill his first day in office. He went into office with this concept in mind, with a World War II style benefit. My organization, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, has long held an idea or a concept for a World War II style benefit for the 21st century. When Senator Webb introduced his bill on January of '07, we responded immediately with a letter of support for the senator and started working this issue to try and gain attention for it and get collaborative efforts involved.
But there were some questions raised along the way by the president and by Republicans in Congress and some Democrats.
Absolutely.
Who said, you know, this is going to drive people away from the armed forces. They're going to take advantage of this money and not re-enlist.
There was a lot of concern about giving a robust benefit to veterans, that it would bleed qualified and talented young people from the force, which the military desperately needs right now.
What was the answer to that question?
The answer to that was a transferability program. The transferability piece was added to help as a retention tool. The GI Bill has long served as a recruitment tool, and it has strengthened the force with a promise of a new education to all members of the armed forces who sign on the dotted line and serve their time. It's a powerful, very powerful recruitment tool. The retention piece allows an individual to transfer a portion of their benefit or all of their benefit at different points in their career for additional service to a spouse or a dependent.
So you can accumulate time at different points in your career and add that all together to make that 3-year minimum?
Well, to simplify, for transferability, a service member at the 6-year mark has would receive 36 months of eligibility. That's 4 years full-time academic pursuit. Those 36 months can be transferred at the 6-year mark for a 4-year re-enlistment in the force. At the 10-year mark, a service member may transfer 36 months or any remaining months, up to 36, to a dependent for another 4-year enlistment. With the terms of eligibility, how you earn eligibility, you have to do post 9/11 service. To get the full-time active duty highest in-state tuition rate, which is the core of this bill, you have to do 3 years active duty service post 9/11.
How do you add up how many people would benefit from this? Do you have any way of estimating that?
Currently, there are about 500,000 people receiving GI Bill benefits right now that would be impacted by this in some way.
And they would use that money only to go to public schools?
No, it could be used at private schools as well, but the cap is the highest in-state tuition. Highest in-state tuition at any school in the nation. The remaining amount that exceeds the cap, say at a private institution like Harvard University. Harvard University is approximately $40,000 a year. We based on the cap at, I believe, Amherst, which I think is 10,000 or thereabouts in that neighborhood, 10,000 a year. So that service member is responsible for that additional
I'm confused.
30,000.
Amherst obviously costs more than 10,000 a year. What are you suggesting? That's as much as you could spend there?
Well, whatever the total cost at Amherst in Massachusetts, you would get that amount at Harvard. That remaining balance would have to be made up by the service member. But the institution, if Harvard forgives a percentage, the federal government matches dollar for dollar that percentage.
As you were working out that portion of the bill, were you in conversation with private universities? Is there interest for them to reach into their own pockets to supplement this?
Many universities have multi-billion-dollar endowments, and they have been trying to seek middle class and lower income students. Veterans bring experience to the classroom that is earned only on the battlefield. The quality of education increases when you have a veteran in the classroom. When you have a foreign policy debate or a nation-building debate with someone who's been in the streets of Al-Anbar or climbed the mountains of Afghanistan, you've got a practitioner's view in the classroom, which very few 19 and 20-year-olds bring to the table. That's a quality student.
So clearly this isn't going to, no one just, there's no magic wand. It doesn't go into effect tomorrow. When does it go into effect? How does it go into effect?
There's a phase-in process, and because of the sweeping change that is taking place with this bill, we haven't seen a comprehensive benefit like this since World War II. This is groundbreaking. Senator Webb deserves yeoman's thanks. Senator Hagel as well for working together in a bipartisan fashion to make this happen. August of 2009 is when the bill goes fully live. I believe in August of this year, they will do an immediate 20% increase to the current recipients of the GI Bill. And in August of 2009, everyone will be eligible if they have the qualifying service for the Webb benefit.
Eric Hillman of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, thank you very much for helping us out.
Gwen, it's a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
VAWatchdog.org, the nation's #1 independent veterans website. On the web at VAWatchdog.org.